The Detroit Tigers kick off the Lou Whitaker weekend slash series. I guess technically it's a Thursday series with a pretty brutal loss, a pretty sloppy and poorly played game. We have Miguel Cabrera updates. We have some roster stuff to go over. We have Lou Whitaker to talk about. We got a lot to discuss. All today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Friday, August 5th, 2022. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and that is including YouTube. YouTube looking really good. I'm glad we did that. It's a fun little transition there, and the numbers are solid. Okay, Detroit Tigers drop Thursday's game to the Tampa Bay Rays by a score of 6-2. And it's even kind of like a makeshift 2 because, believe it or not, the Tigers scored 0 earned runs in this ball game. 4 errors between the Rays and the Tigers, 2 apiece. The difference is the Rays had 12 hits, whereas the Tigers had 6 hits. Slightly different offensive performances there. The Rays are a fascinating team because they are a lot better than their record shows, and it's not a bad record. They're right there in the wild card hunt. They're in the best division in baseball, and they're right there in the thick of the wild card. The thing is, they have a crazy injury bug going around, like to the extent that we do, except all of ours are pitchers and all of theirs are hitters. Like they're all of their best hitters, like almost their entire believed to be starting lineup on opening day is on the IL or has missed significant time if they're finally back now. That they've had a crazy injury bug on the offensive end, and have still put together and managed to have a respectable season, a competitive season, and are still picked up some pieces at the deadline. Still gonna make a run for the postseason. The Tigers, on the other hand, as we know, are just plummeting. It's really rough, and this game was really ugly. I mean, this was as well. I can't even say that. I was gonna say as ugly of as ugly of a game as you'll see, but I'm not even sure if that's true. I mean, we've seen uglier probably, but it's just the stuff that pisses me off is just routine plays or plays that you learn in Little League, like fundamental stuff. Like for instance, in the ninth inning, there's a play at the plate. There's a throw at the plate. It wasn't really a close play. Javi Baez throws the ball to the plate. It gets past Eric Haas. Why is Willie Peralta not backing up catcher? He's just chilling there right in front of the pitcher's mound for who knows what reason. It's your job. Get back there, back up the catcher. That's the pitcher's job on throw in from the outfield. That's like what you do. It's your job. And it's just that kind of stuff. And Javi had both errors today, and his total is now, I think, up to 17, which is the most in baseball of anybody at any position. I think he has 18 walks. I think it's 18 walks and 17 errors. Golly. So Javi Baez is approaching the territory. Well, I say approaching. For a lot of people, he's probably already there. I think he is in the category of we have to have a legitimate discussion about whether he's like the shortstop going forward. And he still shows off fantastic range. He still has a great arm. It's just the accuracy just leaves his body sometimes. Sometimes we have no idea where it's going, but he does have a good arm and he does have phenomenal range. And he's athletic. Like he has the ability to make these great plays and cover a lot of ground and be really effective. But I mean, 17 errors, golly. So we're at a point now where that is a legitimate discussion. because he played second base in New York, right? And he was solid there. And it wouldn't require as long of throws if a majority of his errors are going to be throwing errors. And currently, for the rest of this year, like you have scope, whatever. There's really no point. Eventually, you're not going to have scope. And then looking forward, I think that becomes a legitimate conversation. It's not one we're going to go down the rabbit hole today of possible who's going to play short going forward and all the possibilities that come with that lovely conversation. But I think we've officially arrived at the territory of like this is brutal, a brutal product to watch, and it's not just Javi. Like he's an easy scapegoat because he's getting paid a lot of money and he's won some Gold Gloves and like he should be playing better defensively without a doubt in anyone's mind. But like this whole team is an absolute train wreck defensively. I mean, the corner outfields are pretty brutal night in and night out. Jamer Candelario has been well below average defensively on the year. Jonathan Scope is the lone bright spot. He might mess around and he's probably the leader for Gold Glove at second base right now, but he can't hit. So it's just and then like Harold Castro should never be any like serious team's everyday first baseman. Like I'm sorry. He's a great clubhouse guy. He's a great person to have on your team. I think he's a fantastic utility player. He does his job every day. Starting first baseman, absolutely not. It's unbelievable how poor. I say unbelievable, but at this point, it is believable because I watch it every single night. It's ridiculous how poor this team plays defensively, night in and night out, and there's just no fundamentals, and there's just no anything. Ball gets hit at you under your glove. Ball gets hit at you again. Don't get in front of it under your glove. Nobody's covering a base. Like it's just the same thing, and it doesn't ever go away, and it's so frustrating. These are professionals getting paid millions of dollars, and we have just stupid defensive mishaps all the time. And it's not just defensively; it's offensively too. I mean, in the same, and I don't mean to just like turn this into a like rag on Javi session because everybody deserves it equally. This whole team is a train wreck for 26 different reasons, not just Javi Baez, but um, like on the tag up where he almost hurt himself on the tag up. I understand that there are certainly a few plays that you're only going to score from third on, but as a whole, man on second 2 outs and man on third 2 outs are pretty similar. You're running on contact at second. Like I'm sorry, but it's not different enough where like that was a pretty close play at third, and on top of that, he almost hurt himself. Like that's an unnecessary like risk in my eyes. I don't know. I'm getting so nitpicky and because it's August and we're terrible and we consistently are terrible and are playing beyond sloppy baseball every single night and it's just so blatant. All of the mistakes that this team makes on a night to night basis are so blatant and it's so not enjoyable to watch. And yet here I am. Okay, we'll get into the offense, which there's not a ton to talk about, but we will get into it. Then we'll get into the pitching, which was honestly not very great either. But we'll talk about all of it. We do have some Miguel Cabrera stuff to talk about. We are going to touch on Lou Whitaker as well. We do have some other stuff to talk about, but golly. First, though, let's talk about something that's a lot less frustrating and makes your life a lot easier. That's Blue Nile jewelry. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond's shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft her perfect engagement ring. Each ring is one of a kind. If you're looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7. They're available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. So make your moment sparkle with the jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile anniversary sale. You can save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, it ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. You can shop stress-free. Find your forever piece at BlueNile.com today. All right, everybody. Welcome back here to segment 2 at Locked On Tigers. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. If you hear the rain again for the second night in a row, I apologize, but it's still storming like crazy here in the Metro Detroit area. Okay, so we talked about how poor the defense is and has been all year and continues to be outside of John on the scope. And now we get to the offense, which is a lot of same story, different night in that regard as well. We had 6 hits and no walks. So that's a good offensive performance. The fact that this game was relatively close for, I would say, like it was within a 2-run game for what, 6 innings, almost 7 innings, is somewhat of a miracle to me, given how poor it's such a like unappealing product. Like visually, it's not even like enjoyable to watch. Like there's some teams like they're bad, but at least you have fun watching them. They have some fun players. They have young talent that you can come through. Like we have Riley Green, who I love watching all of his ABs and everything. Miguel Cabrera, anytime he gets an at bat, that's obviously special. But like I mean, besides that, I it's just the same thing every night. It's like ramming your head against a wall over and over. I okay. Anyway, offensively, the at bats were not great. The Rays have this like machine where you're gonna see dudes that you've never heard of, and they're gonna pump 98 out of the pen, and you're not gonna be able to hit them. And that's just what they do. And they're incredible at it. And if their starter can even go 5 or 6 innings, then it's pretty much over. And their offense obviously gets them to a point where they have a lead. It's pretty much over. Um, Springs is an interesting. I mean, 6 innings, 4 hits, two runs, none of them earned, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. Dang good day at the office. His ERA is down to 2.5. And then you have just a kind of a murderer's row there of bullpen arms that they can just go through a whole. I mean, Cash said it himself, a whole stable of arms that throw 98. That's just reality. So that's what happened. And you weren't able to put really any competitive at-bats together, especially, again, as we talked about on yesterday's show, if you just have a good fastball, even an average fastball, to be honest with you, you're going to dominate against this offense. We had 0 earned runs. We did not score a single earned run. If errors didn't happen, we would have gotten shut out. It's remarkable how I don't know if we're just refusing to make adjustments and we're like, oh no, everything's okay. But you throw a good fastball, you're beating the Tigers. That's pretty much all there is to it. This team, God, I keep getting hung up on the defense because it's so mind-bogglingly, I just made up a word. Terrible. They have allowed 22 unearned runs since the All-Star break. That's 15 games. You're averaging well over an unearned run a game since the All-Star break, including 17 unearned runs in an 8-game stretch from July 23rd to 30th. That's via Evan Petzold of the Free. That's unbelievable. How are we just... I guess, like, what do you do at this point? Like, now we're at the point post-trade deadline where this is just, we're going to get into the dog days. And it's just going to be, we're going to call some people up. We're going to have some roster moves, but there's really nothing to look forward to. There's no light at the end of the tunnel for the season. There's no more big, like dates to circle. There's no All-Star break. There's no trade deadline. There's no like September call-ups aren't even a thing anymore. The roster expands by like 2. It goes from 26 to 28, I think. It's not like you get all 40 dudes up here anymore. Like it's just it's just going to be the dog days. And then hopefully we call up some prospects and give like Kerry Carpenter should absolutely be on this team at some point this season. And I think sooner rather than later. I expect him up here before September, to be honest with you. I think that there's going to be a lot of roster moves over the next 3 weeks, and I think he's going to be one of them. But it's just such a visually ugly brand of baseball, night in and night out. So, like, there's your offense that there wasn't much to speak of. On the pitching side of things, Drew Hutchinson started. He went 6 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, only 2 of them earned, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. I hate to break it to all of you. 6 innings pitched and under 3 earned runs is a quality start. Good job for Drew Hutchinson. He didn't miss a ton of bats. He had 3 strikeouts. That's decent, sure. But he didn't miss very many bats. 6 whiffs, all of them on the slider, and didn't get very many called strikes. It was definitely a pitch to contact kind of performance, and he got hit pretty hard. But luckily, that even with the 2 errors, it wasn't as bad as it could have been with 8 hits and 22 balls put in play. What analysis left is there for Drew Hutchinson? Again, he consistently, whenever he takes the mound, he's going to put you in a position where you are able to win the game if your offense wakes up in the morning and your bullpen shows up like it has most of the year. And he did that again. 2 earned runs in 6 innings. Even if you want to count the 4 total runs, 4 runs in 6 is not a horrid performance. And with a good bullpen, it's going to put you in a position where you can strike later in the game and potentially get a win. Just not this team. 94 average exit velocity on the night, though. He was getting hit pretty hard and often. 8 hits. High number. But we'll take it. Like I say after most Drew Hutchinson starts, we'll take it. Alex Lang, 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 run, 2 walks, 3 Ks. He struck out the side and had no command. And that's somewhat good and somewhat bad. It's somewhat good because it's a testament to truly how nasty he is, where even when he has 0 command, he can still strike out the side. But it's obviously he had no command. He was, I don't know if it's, and this is something I'm worried about for the last 2 months of the season, because we have no starters that can consistently go into the 5th or 6th inning. This bullpen has been used a ridiculous amount, especially since like June 1st. So I'm worried that we're just going to burn all these dudes out and the bullpen is going to implode in the last like 2 months of the year. And Alex Lang was certainly gripping the ball a little too hard and a little too long on Thursday night's game, because he was spiking the ball into the dirt. He was spiking it so much it was bouncing over Haas's shoulder, like wild pitches. Willie Peralta had a wild pitch too. I mean, like I really am seriously worried about the bullpen for the remainder of the season because of just how much usage all of them have had. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for. Will Vest, 1 inning, clean ball, fine. 9 pitches, 9 strikes. Can't get too much better than that. I really like his slider. It's just a matter of whether he can have good enough command to utilize it. His ERA is down to 3.05, having a great year still. Willie Peralta, 1 inning, 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, no Ks. His command was also all over the place, and that's a couple outings in a row that we've said that about him. And he is back now, which is good. My couple outings was dating before his most recent stint on the IL. We were talking about his command kind of being kind of wavering. So now he's back, and I liked using him there because you gotta the game's pretty much lost. You know, your offense isn't scoring late. You don't want to go to Soto. And it's a kind of a lower leverage situation where you can get him an inning to kind of get his feet back under him after an IL stint. So I like going to him there. Just very much the same problems that were persisting right before he got put on the IL as well, when we kind of started realizing something might be up. Okay, I think that's it for the game. We're gonna talk about Miggy and Lou Whitaker. I'm done talking about this ridiculous game that was played on Thursday. First, though, I got to tell you all about our friends over at BetOnline.net. It's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the number one online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league: Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, even golf. BetOnline.net continues to be the top online resource for all your sporting wagering information, live in-game betting, scores, podcasts. They have you covered with it all. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn about the trends and the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, everybody. Welcome back to segment 3, our third and final segment here at Locked On Tigers. Okay. Let's talk about Miguel Cabrera first. We'll go on a kind of a sour note, and then we'll end on a sweet note. So, Miggy, for the remainder of this homestand, is going to be playing every other game. And the reason for that, he is citing his knee and his right knee that has been a problem for him and a problem staying healthy. I mean, what, since 2016, 15? For like 7 years now. That right knee has been a massive problem for him and has really hindered him from ever getting back to his true greatness that we saw in the earlier part of the decade. So that's sad. It's sad, and we're not gonna do like a big long thing because we don't know his future, and we don't want to jump the gun. We don't want to talk about something as if it's for sure because his exact quote was, "I need to talk to Al Avila. He needs to talk to his teammates, his coaches, Al Avila, and everyone," was the quote. Slightly paraphrased, but pretty much he just listed off everybody he needs to talk to and ended it with, "I need to talk to everybody." So I will say this: it would be unbelievably on brand for this season and how poor it's gone for, because we were all told by Miggy himself and his agent and beat writers and the team that next year was going to be his last year. And he was going to, we'd do like the farewell tour thing and whatever. It would be so on brand if he had to just like cut his career a year early because he just physically couldn't do it anymore. It'd be so on brand with how this just terrible season has gone. And it's really sad. And I hope, first and foremost, more than anything, I hope that he does whatever he has to do to be healthy. You don't want to do something that's going to make you have chronic knee pain for the rest of your life or chronic knee problems for the rest of your life. You've accomplished a lot in this game. You are a first ballot Hall of Famer. You mean you're going to get a statue at Comerica Park. You're going to have your number retired at Comerica Park. I don't think we're winning a ring next year. So you're not missing out on like a chance to win a ring as a Tiger. I truly, truly do hope that he just does whatever is best for him and his body. Now, selfishly, I know, obviously, I would like to see him get a true send off and a true farewell tour. Um, don't believe the Tigers can't compete until Miguel Cabrera's contract is off the books. Don't believe that. That's not true. That's never been true. Has never and will never be true. Go look up how wealthy the Illich family is. That's not true. Um, so I truly do hope that he does whatever he has to do to make sure that he's healthy. If this is the final ride, then I'm sure we'll know about it ahead of time because they're going to want to sell tickets and seats and catch Miggy's last series against this team and his last homestand and all that. I don't think it'll be a secret unless Miggy wants it to be a secret and he doesn't tell anybody. But the plan, as it stands currently, is still for him to play next season. But like I said he has to talk to a lot of people. So that's the Miguel Cabrera update. Like I said, for this homestand, he'll be playing every other game. And then he will get reevaluated apparently at the end of the homestand. So we should have a more broad. Well, actually, that's the opposite. What I meant to say. A more specific update. I meant the exact opposite of the word that came out of my mouth. I'm not sure what that was about. We should have a much better update and a much more finite update at the end of the homestand here. This weekend, we don't record on weekends. We don't record. You do not get an episode on Saturday or Sunday. So this is the last episode before Lou Whitaker gets his number enshrined at Comerica Park. No Tiger will ever wear the number one ever again. That's awesome. It's awesome. It's unbelievably deserved. Lou Whitaker is one of my favorite athletes of all time. And I never watched a single game of his because I was too young, right? I was born in the late 90s. So I never got to watch him play, but I have like DVD sets of the 80s Tigers and like full games on DVD and like the whole playoff run in 84, every single game, like full game of the entire series and that one. I and so I grew up not live, but indirectly watching Lou Whitaker a lot and seeing him back at the ballpark and he's just such a cool guy. What a cool dude, you know? Hearing all of his stories and just hearing him talk about what it means to him to get his number retired and it's next to Trammell and it's just so cool. It's so cool and so deserved. And we got to get something else right as a community. We have to right a one of the biggest wrongs in the history of baseball, and that is Lou Whitaker not being in the Hall of Fame. It's criminal and it's wrong and it's objectively wrong. No matter how you slice it, you want to go accolades. He has plenty of accolades. He has a ring. He's got plenty of personal accolades to go along with that. And was part of one of the most dominant teams of the 1980s. You want to talk about legacy left on the game. He is part of maybe the most famous, probably second most famous double play duo in the history of Major League Baseball. The most double plays turned. Tram and Lou. You want to go based on statistics, just pure stats. Depending on what website you use, Lou Whitaker has more career WAR than Alan Trammell. And no matter what website you use, he has comfortably way more than Jack Morris. Both Hall of Famers. He deserves to be in Cooperstown. He is one of the highest career WAR players to not be in Cooperstown, outside of, like the Barry Bondses and the Schillings and everything, like the dudes that have off the field reasons why they're not in the Hall of Fame. If you want to just talk pure snubs, dudes that have no like controversy around them and no like stigma about like why they are or aren't in the Hall of Fame. If you just look at career WAR, he is one of the highest on that list. He is one of the best second basemen in the history of the game of baseball. He is half of possibly the best double play combo in the history of baseball. And he was part of one of the wire to wire champion in 1984. I'm not really sure what we're doing here. It infuriates me that he's not in. I have no idea how Alan Trammell is in the Hall of Fame and Lou Whitaker isn't. And I understand Tram's peak was higher and he got MVP, whatever, runner up or third place for MVP the one year. And his peak was that was higher than Lou. But Lou was a borderline or low end all-star for the entirety of his career. And like I said, actually has more WAR than Tram on several websites. Should be in the Hall of Fame. It's not even really a question. He should be in the Hall of Fame. And it's sad that he didn't get to go in with Tram. That would have been a really cool moment. But they messed it up. Now, he is on I call it the second chance ballot, but the Veterans Committee ballot will put him back on at some point. I'm not sure if that's been announced yet. If it has, don't kill me. But I know that they announce it every year, and they announce who's going to be on the ballot every year, and it changes. It's kind of a rotation thing. And he's been on before and hasn't got in, but he can still get on again. So hopefully, here's to hoping that Lou Whitaker can be in the Hall of Fame. But let's enjoy this weekend. Give him the love and attention that he very so much deserves. One of the greatest Detroit Tigers of all time. One of the greatest second basemen, period, of all time. And Lou, sweet Lou, baby. Very much deserved. Cannot wait for Saturday. It's going to be a really cool moment. I hope there's a decent crowd. I know that the team is not good, but Lou deserves a crowd. Okay. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every day. Now make your second listen to Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and his unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories from around the league. Follow the number one daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. That'll do it for me this week. We will be back on Monday, hopefully recapping some wins this weekend and a nice little ceremony on Saturday. If not, we'll be here anyway. Same time, same place. You know the drill. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. And I will catch y'all on Monday. Go Tigers, baby.